millions can't afford rent, but Carney spends $330,000 on ice rink. Public outrage grows. Every day, millions of Canadians face a harsh reality. Rent is no longer just a monthly expense, but a crushing burden threatening their financial stability. From Toronto's soaring housing market to smaller cities struggling with limited affordable options, rent has skyrocketed to levels many cannot keep up with. Families are forced to choose between paying rent or buying food, students delay education, and seniors worry about keeping their homes. It is in this context that the news broke of Prime Minister Mark Carney's government approving $330,000 for a new ice rink project, an announcement that has sparked widespread public outrage and raised urgent questions about governmental priorities. Mark Carney, who replaced Justin Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party and subsequently became Prime Minister after the snap federal election on April 28, 2025, came into office with promises of prudent governance and economic stabilization. Canadians hoped his technocratic expertise would steer the country through the turbulent economic climate marked by inflation and cost-of-living crises. Yet, this early decision to allocate a substantial amount for an ice rink, a recreational luxury for many, at a time when so many are struggling to afford basic necessities, has become a lightning rod for criticism. This ice rink, while seemingly a community benefit on the surface, has become emblematic of what many perceive as a disconnect between political leadership and everyday Canadians. While access to recreational spaces is indeed important for fostering healthy communities and supporting youth engagement, the timing and scale of this expenditure have raised eyebrows. For many Canadians, investing hundreds of thousands in such a project while rent prices and housing shortages continue to spiral feels like an affront, a symbol of misplaced priorities that neglect the pressing needs of vulnerable populations. Across the country, the public reaction has been loud and visceral. From urban centers like Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary to rural communities facing their own affordability challenges, citizens are expressing frustration and anger. Social media platforms have exploded with hashtags condemning the decision, with people sharing their stories of rent struggles and juxtaposing those hardships against the luxury spending on recreational infrastructure. Call-in radio shows and community forums are filled with voices demanding accountability and questioning how their tax dollars are being spent. Supporters of the rink argue that such infrastructure investments are vital for community well-being. They highlight the benefits of providing safe spaces for physical activity, mental health support through recreation, and social cohesion, particularly for youth who may otherwise lack access to organized sports or community programs. These arguments are valid in principle, but critics emphasize that such investments cannot come at the expense of addressing more urgent social needs like affordable housing, healthcare access, and food security. The debate has thus evolved beyond just the rink. It has sparked a broader conversation about where governments should prioritize spending. A significant point of contention fueling the outrage is the lack of transparency surrounding the funding and decision-making process. The federal government has not provided clear details on whether the ice rink funding came from federal infrastructure budgets, provincial grants, municipal contributions, or private partnerships. This opacity has bred suspicion, leading many Canadians to believe that such projects are being approved without sufficient public consultation or consideration of the current economic hardships many face. Transparency and accountability have become demands not just for this issue, but for broader governance. The opposition, led by Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, has seized this opportunity to criticize the Liberal government's spending choices. Poilievre's team has framed the ice rink expenditure as a glaring example of government waste and elite detachment from working-class realities. This messaging has resonated with a portion of the electorate, especially younger voters and renters who feel overlooked. However, the Conservatives have also faced challenges. In a recent by-election, one of Poilievre's candidates made dismissive remarks about the severity of the housing crisis, undercutting the party's position and highlighting the complexities of translating public outrage into credible political leadership. Yet, the frustration is far from partisan. Canadians across political and socioeconomic divides are united in their concern about the housing affordability crisis. The Rink controversy has crystallized broader dissatisfaction with the pace of progress in tackling rising rents, stagnant wages, and the growing wealth gap. For many, it is not simply about one expenditure, but about a perceived pattern of government decisions that prioritize symbolic projects over substantive solutions to pressing social challenges. Prime Minister Carney now faces a critical test of leadership. He can choose to dismiss the public's concerns and continue with business as usual, or he can embrace transparency, provide detailed explanations of the funding and community benefits of the Rink, and most importantly, outline a clear, comprehensive strategy to address housing affordability and cost of living pressures. Acknowledging the legitimate frustrations of Canadians and demonstrating a commitment to tangible improvements could help rebuild trust. Likewise, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have an opportunity to rise beyond simple criticism. Voters are seeking concrete policies and realistic solutions. Measures such as rent control legislation, expanded affordable housing programs, incentives for construction of lower-cost units, and social supports for vulnerable populations. The opposition's ability to present a compelling, compassionate alternative will be essential in the coming months as Canadians demand more than political point scoring. The wider societal implications of this controversy are profound. It has underscored how critical transparent governance and empathy in leadership are to maintaining public confidence. When citizens feel unheard or sidelined, social cohesion frays. The ice rink spending has become a symbol not just of fiscal decisions, but of the emotional and psychological distance many feel from their representatives, a gap that must be bridged for healthy democracy. In the end, this story is about more than money. It's about trust, priorities, and respect. Millions of Canadians are struggling to make ends meet, and they expect their government to act accordingly, with prudence, fairness, and a clear focus on improving their lives. Whether this $330,000 rink is seen as a worthwhile investment or an avoidable extravagance depends largely on how government leaders respond in the coming weeks and months. Public outrage is powerful and can be channeled constructively. Canadians seek leadership that listens, adapts, and acts boldly to ease their burdens. The Rink controversy could be a turning point for stronger accountability, refocused policies, and amplifying everyday voices. Time will tell if Mark Carney's government acts in Canadians' true interests or lets this deepen existing divides amid uncertainty.